Did we just see the main event of WrestleMania 33 on SmackDown Live tonight? What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your February 7th Go Home to Elimination Chamber. If nothing else, it's going to be better than Fastlane SmackDown Live review. Yes, it is the Go Home show to Elimination Chamber, the show that was put together in 2 weeks that is going to put to death anything that Raw has planned for Fastlane. And yes, that indeed includes... What's his name? I can't even remember him because that's how irrelevant they make their champion. I think it's Kevin Owens, but I'm not sure. Versus Oldberg over on Raw. And they've got like 5 weeks to build their pay-per-view. SmackDown did theirs in 2. Oh, yes. We started out because we know the main event tonight. We know the main event tonight is John Cena versus Randy Orton. Never been seen before. Apparently, they're saying this all night, that they've never clashed on SmackDown. I don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, they clashed on Raw, they clashed on pay-per-views, etc. I don't know if it's true that they've never clashed on SmackDown. Although I would be willing to bet that it is the first time they've clashed in this scenario. Early in the year, one of them being the Royal Rumble winner, one of them being the champion. That is a pretty safe bet. All of those, Randy Orton being the Rumble winner, Cena being the champion, them both being on SmackDown, non-title match in the main event. All of those things combined might be the first time. They might just be bullshitting, but they're just catching up to Raw in that regard, are they not? Starts off with a great video package, and I will say, the video package they did at the beginning of this show, if John Cena versus Randy Orton is the main event of WrestleMania, they'll probably play this video package again. It's pretty good. It starts with them when they were younger, obviously showing Orton's family lineage, obviously showing the famous shot we've seen of like 10-year-old John Cena with the tinfoil belt, them in OVW, them in their debuts, them and all the matches that they've had before. Because yes, I get it, they've had matches before, but you know what? I really don't care. I really don't. And when we get to the match later on tonight, you see John Cena go into the 5 moves of doom, and you can see them both smile. You can see them both smile because they've done it so many times. It's like putting on an old shoe, and it's what's expected. It's not great. It's typically what we complain about, but it's almost like watching a retro movie. It's almost like watching the original Friday the 13th or the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And yes, I'm looking up at my horror section of my movie collection up here. It's like watching the original Scream. If it was made today, if it was the first time they did it today, it would be cheesy. But because it's I hate to say this because you guys know how I feel about John Cena, but it's almost that cult classic, it gets a pass type of thing. But it's all good. It hypes us up for the main event. We knew what the main event was from last week because SmackDown actually books from week to week. Daniel Bryan comes out. He's the hometown boy. They're not in Aberdeen, but they are in Washington, so close enough. Yes, chance abound. Oh, and yes, they do. I will say, if you want to say that Daniel Bryan took away from the Elimination Chamber build to make it about himself a little bit, I'll understand your frustration on that one. I really will. But again, it's sort of a feel-good hometown, willing to give it a pass because it's SmackDown and we don't get a whole lot of this, which is good. Last time I was here, it was to retire. It was, one of the worst nights of my life, etc. But again, he talks about what he's grateful for. He's grateful for his family. He's grateful for what he's been able to do on SmackDown Live in his general manager role, and he will be grateful when he becomes a dad. And the only person that could, the only person that could interrupt The Miz at this point, talking about his family, his future child, etc., is The Miz, who comes back and just mocks Daniel Bryan for everything. It's great. Oh, the sad story, you had to retire, da-da-da. Yeah, you can't wrestle. Just quit now. Go home and be a stay-at-home dad with Brie. You can't wrestle. You don't belong here. And of course, Daniel Bryan with the cheap pub, well, not being able to wrestle hasn't stopped you at all. But it is what it is. You don't respect me, but I'm going to win the Elimination Chamber. Corbin comes out and tells Miz to shut up. And this is where I love that you get levels of heel. You get The Miz, who's out there ripping on Daniel Bryan, so he's the bad guy. Then you get Corbin, who comes out to rip on The Miz, so he's like that next level of bad guy. Miz tries to make a deal with him, and the two of them together could you know, demolish the whole friggin' chamber. I will say, commentary on Monday night, commentary tonight, kept on hyping up that it is a new and improved chamber. If somebody knows what the fuck they're talking about, because I can't find anything about a new and improved chamber, please enlighten me down in the box below. Corbin says, I'm not going to team with you, but I could take you out right now before the chamber and save myself the hassle of having to hear you talk later. Ambrose comes out, cuts a bunch of jokes, tells Miz he can't take him seriously because he looks like a shoe with his outfit, which is fine. Corbin, you haven't been where I've been, you know, walk a mile in my shoes, all that sort of thing. Sunday, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to make a lot of bad decisions, and some of us are not going to walk away. Styles comes out, tells everybody in the ring that they're living a fantasy. Miz has a fantasy of having a brain. Corbin has a fantasy of deserving a title shot. And Ambrose has a fantasy of being behind bars, but oh wait, that might not be a fantasy, which is good. I like that. I like that a whole lot. Daniel Bryan, standing in the middle of all of it, pulls a Teddy Long. He doesn't make a tag team match. He makes a fatal four-way with 4 of the 6 people that are going to be competing for the belt on Sunday. It's all good. And that is next. Now, what I love about this is on any show, Styles versus Corbin versus Ambrose versus Miz could be a main event. On any show, on a minor pay-per-view, this could be a big show. Okay, these 4 plus 2 more are going to be a main event this Sunday. This is the first match of the night. And I have lots of notes. And it's a 4-person pile of people match. You know, you guys know how I love that, so you know how detailed my notes are. So I will say, in advance, bear with me. My writing's fucking terrible, as you guys know. Miz bails to start the match. Corbin tosses out Styles. Ambrose tosses out Corbin. Lariat by the Miz. Ambrose tosses Styles into the Miz and tosses them both out of the ring. One-punch knockdowns by Corbin on the Miz are always funny. Corbin punches Styles out of the sky. He goes to springboard and do something, presumably the phenomenal forearm. Corbin just says, fuck it, and punches it right out of the sky. JBL on commentary. Yeah, whenever you're in a match, no matter what style of guy you're fighting, it's always a good idea to punch him in the face. Oh, yes. But then Baron Corbin eats ring post shoulder first for his trouble. From the knees, DDT by The Miz on AJ Styles, and we get first out of 3 in this match. Daniel Bryan silly kicks on Ambrose. We get the Daniel Bryan silly kicks on Styles. And then Miz, Ambrose, and Styles trade a lot of pin attempts as we go into the commercial break. Miz crotches Ambrose. There's a Tower of Doom suplex by Corbin on everybody, but then Corbin gets knocked into the corner, and there's some Daniel Bryan silly kicks in the corner to Corbin to complete the trifecta by The Miz, which is good. Deep 6 by Corbin on The Miz. Pele to Corbin by AJ. Front slam and a running kick by Miz on AJ. Lariat by AJ on Ambrose. Suicide dive by Corbin. Styles eats the guardrail. Miz gets crotched on the guardrail. Corbin eats the ring post and a standing elbow by Dean Ambrose. Top rope moonsault and a top rope moonsault style DDT on Ambrose by Styles. Phenomenal forearm on the Miz, and the end of days on AJ Styles by Baron Corbin gets him the win. Baron Corbin looked like a beast in this match. You got the one guy in this match that has never been a former champion, so you gotta push him a little harder than the rest. I mean, once you get Cena and Wyatt in there, you've also got Wyatt, who's never been a champion, but they don't really have to worry about Wyatt. Wyatt's been establishing himself for a lot longer. Baron Corbin is the powerhouse on SmackDown. He is the Braun Strowman of SmackDown. He's the guy who's impressive as fuck, and they've been giving him a lot of push, but he's also young guy to the table as far as being in the main event scene, so I'm really glad he got a really good chance to shine tonight. Don't think that's going to lead to him winning on Sunday, but stranger things have happened. Harper cuts a promo in the back. He's talking to a light bulb for reasons. Calls out Orton for the Elimination Chamber, which I believe I predicted last week. Just putting that one out there. Awkward, super awkward interview with Nikki and Natalya. They are really turning Natalya just into this, I don't want to say cougar, but I do want to say older chick that is using schoolyard insults against Nikki. And it's so forced, and it's so awkward that it's almost jumped the shark of being so bad it's good. I'm almost there with the Nikki Natty feud. I won't say Nikki Bella was particularly great in this segment either, but there's nothing really to go on. It's just the typical, you're with John Cena, you're not that great a wrestler, you're gonna be alone because he's the champion, da-da-da-da-da. And Nikki comes back with the slightly more relevant comment of, you're batshit crazy, you're a crazy cat lady, and you're dwindling away what's left of your family's legacy, which is true. Ziggler versus Apollo Crews is next. They replay all the stuff leading up to this. Ziggler snapping, Ziggler doing the... They didn't replay what he did to Lawler, but they showed him snapping on Kalisto. They showed him snapping on Corbin in the back, the matches that he's had with Kalisto since. And finally, Apollo Crews gets his chance at Dolph Ziggler. And it's a short match. Dropkick by Crews, corner tackle, tosses him into the post, mudhole by Crews, jumping DDT by Ziggler. Sweet, oh, this is such a weird finish, and it was so awkward. And even the look on Ziggler's face as the match ended was like, I can't believe this is how the match is ending. But Sweet Chin Music gets countered into a roll-up, and Crews wins. And he gets attacked by a chair by Ziggler. The great thing about this, Ziggler's going to town with the chair on Crews. The crowd is chanting one more time, which is fucking great. Kalisto comes down for the save, and I love this because you figure, at the very least, little guy, Rey Mysterio-esque, he's gonna get the, you know, unpredictable save out of nowhere. No, goes for the Salida del Sol, Ziggler crotches him, smacks him with the chair too. Crowd continues to chant one more time. The most babyface thing Dolph Ziggler has done in the past little while is turn heel. Which leads us to backstage, where Ziggler's leaving and Bryan tries to tell him, what the hell are you doing? You know, why are you doing this? Hey, you're just going to throw a temper tantrum every time you lose. Ziggler makes the mistake of blurting out, hey, those guys are nothing. I could beat them at the same time if I really had to. Daniel Bryan makes a handicap match for this Sunday. Elimination Chamber, Dolph Ziggler versus Apollo Crews and Kalisto, which, I'm not going to lie, it's nothing to write home about. It's nothing that's going to set the world on fire, but I think is going to be a pretty decent match. Just putting it out there. We have the first ever dual contract signing. We have the contract signings for Alexa Bliss versus Naomi and the contract signing for Becky Lynch versus Mickie James, which is good. Bliss and Naomi are having their title match. Unfortunately, Becky Lynch versus Mickie James is a cool little bit of a thing. Couple little things to start with. Mickie James comes out looking casual, looking nice. Mickie James, hot as fuck. So does Becky Lynch. Alexa Bliss owns them both. Nice little black dress. Great. Looking like a champ. Naomi didn't get the memo that this is a contract signing and comes out in her seizure-inducing getup and ring attire. And does way too much to buddy up with Becky Lynch, which really backs up what I've said on Twitter about their desperation with Naomi. Well, we had to replace AJ Lee after she left, so let's buddy Naomi up with Paige. Well, that didn't work. Let's throw her in with the Thug group. Let's throw her in with Tamina and Sasha Banks. That didn't work. Okay, now people seem to like Becky Lynch, so we'll buddy her up with her. It's really pathetic. It's quite honestly. Just no. Renee hosting is a nice little touch because it's a women's match. Why would you not have another fellow female hosting the contract signing, which is great. But she's quickly dismissed by Mickie James. Mickie James owns on the microphone, as she always does. I will say, Mickie James, in her first run in WWE, wasn't that great on the mic. I will say, the little bit that I saw of her in TNA, she did get a lot better, and it shows. Here, she takes credit for the Revolution, basically accuses everybody in the ring, except for Alexa Bliss, who's the champion, of trying to erase her history, etc., etc., etc. Becky Lynch says she's going to knock her into the past on Sunday. Nice, short, sweet, to the point. Alexa Bliss owns Becky on the mic, even though they're not fighting on Sunday, and does the greatest thing ever. She's about to leave, and she's like, oh, that's right, Naomi, I'm fighting you on Sunday. Oh, well, I'm gonna beat you. And then Naomi somebody gives Naomi a microphone. I don't know why. Because we get the equivalent of, oh, no, you didn't, 3 snaps, 3 snaps, 3 snaps, for about 5 minutes from Naomi, and it just makes my blood just drip right out my ears. It really, really does. But I will say, while everybody else is hyping up Elimination Chamber, you know, the pay-per-view that's happening this Sunday, the pay-per-view for which they are signing these contracts, she's more interested in talking about WrestleMania because it happens in her hometown of Lando, Florida. Just go. Go, just you and Charlotte from Raw, just go join the ring crew and get off my TV. The rest of them are really freaking good, though. Alexa just owned both of them. It was fucking great. Mickie James being back is fucking wonderful. Becky Lynch is holding up her end, too. I'll give her that much. Becky Lynch's strong suit is not cutting promos. I will go that far as well. 12-man tag team match that I did not bother writing notes for. American Alpha versus Breezango. Or, sorry, American Alpha. I can speak, I swear. American Alpha, Breezango, even though they're heels, and Slater and Rhino versus the Vaudevillains, the Usos, and the Ascension. This is basically done to plug the fact that there's going to be a tag team turmoil match this Sunday with all 6 teams. I'm assuming that there's going to be a surprise team thrown in there, and I will get into that sometime later this week. But the surprise comes when the win is scored by Victor of the Ascension. And then the commentators make a good point of saying how it's a really big deal for the Ascension, and it is, because they haven't had a win in God knows how long. But they say it's a really big deal because it was Connor's birthday yesterday, and if you want to play up that point, why wouldn't you let Connor win? Just saying. Anyways, the main event. The match we've been waiting since 2002 for. Once in a lifetime. I mean, once every few months. I mean, once every couple of years, once every... I can't even do the sarcasm anymore. I'm sorry, guys. John Cena versus Randy Orton is your main event for tonight, and it is everything that you expect a Randy Orton versus John Cena match to be. Collar and elbow tie up and a side headlock by Orton, tackle by Cena, and a side headlock by Cena. Shoulder tackle again, and another kitchen sink by Orton. Orton stomp, which I fucking love. I don't care what you want to say about Randy Orton. The Orton stomp is the perfect heel move. When he does it as a face, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Rides a sleeper and hits another kitchen sink. Cena eats the steps on the outside as we go to commercial break. The match is slow. The match is methodical. The match is sort of a paint by numbers, what you would expect from both of these guys, but I don't mind that, if that's all right to say. I'm not saying I suddenly love John Cena. I'm not saying suddenly Randy Orton has become the best thing ever. But the fact that it was exactly what I expected from them kind of makes me laugh in a way. And judge me if you want. Kick to the shoulder and a full Nelson slam by Orton as we come back from commercial break. Cena backdrops Orton off the ring. Orton eats the steps. Backdrop onto the commentator table by Orton, and both men trade punches. 5 moves of doom by Cena. Top turnbuckle. Suspension DDT by Randy Orton was fucking pretty. RKO by Orton, a second RKO is blocked, an attitude adjustment is blocked, and they knock out the referee. So that when Randy Orton taps out to the STF by Cena, nobody sees it. Bray Wyatt, who's been watching from his rocking chair the whole time, gets up, there's a double team by the Wyatt. Lariat by Cena on Orton, Sister Abigail by Wyatt. Harper comes down to the ring, stares down Wyatt. Wyatt's got him taking a half step back, so you know they're still doing that whole like mind control, he's still under his command type thing that they were playing up a lot last week. They did this last week. I thought they played it up a little much. They made it a little hokey, but this was cool. He held him off for just a second, and then wicked lariat by Harper to Wyatt, which I really hope is a story going forward. Out of all the confusion, Orton eats an attitude adjustment from Cena, and obviously Cena, who's the current champion, is going to get the win. He's got a championship match on Sunday. Orton, although he's the Royal Rumble winner, has a mid-card match against Luke Harper. Cena's the one that, I hate to say it, I really do, because I know the line has become so cliche, but in this case, it made sense for Cena to come out looking strong tonight. Great match, fuck finish, obviously. If they want to even portray the idea that this is going to be the main event at WrestleMania, they had to have a fuck finish. Because if by some gloomy exaggeration this is the actual main event of WrestleMania this year, why would you care now that we've just seen it on SmackDown? It's not going to be. Somebody else is going to win. Styles is going to win. Wyatt's going to win. We're going to get into that later on this week. But, I mean, for a... I don't know, guys. I know the brand-specific pay-per-views are not the greatest, and you guys know I'm not particularly a fan of themed pay-per-views. I did think there was going to be more than one Elimination Chamber on this card, and that kind of bums me out. You've got 2 champions in one match, which eliminates the, no pun intended, eliminates the chance of a second championship match, because Dean... Who the fuck is the Intercontinental Champion? That's really bad. Ambrose is in the World Title match, so there's no Intercontinental Championship match. But you got Dolph Ziggler versus Kalisto and Apollo Crews, which will be interesting if nothing else. It's a very strange dynamic between the 3 of those guys. Luke Harper versus Randy Orton was confirmed at the end of the night. Nikki Bella versus Natalya. Mickie James versus Becky Lynch. Alexa Bliss versus Naomi for the championship, and by God, this is where we need Alexa Bliss to win. I will say, total props to SmackDown Live for giving us 3 women's championship matches, showing us 3 separate stories, whereas Raw can barely give us 1. Just putting that one out there. American Alpha versus everybody in the Tag Team Turmoil match. I mean, it's going to be Breezango, it's going to be Slater and Rhino, it's going to be Ascension, Usos, whoever I forgot, the Vaudevillains, and there's going to be somebody else. They don't do these matches without using them as an excuse. And I know who I want it to be. I really know who I want it to be, but I'm going to leave that for later on this week. And then you've got Cena versus Wyatt versus The Miz versus Baron Corbin versus Ambrose versus AJ Styles. Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. It's shaping up to be a pretty fucking decent card. It really, really is, and it has a lot less potential to disappoint us than the Royal Rumble did. Oh, that's right, because the Royal Rumble match only had one SmackDown match on it. Just saying. Just saying. If it's red, it's bad. Red, stop. Blue is close to green, so go. That's the last cheesy joke you're going to get on this video because I'm getting the hell out of here. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Like me.